Hello? Hi, sweetie. It's so nice to hear your voice. I have to admit, I had a hell of a time finding a new phone number for everyone out there. So how are you all doing? Linda purred, trying to sound calm while masking the fear and longing she was actually feeling. Stacy hesitated, needing a moment to reassure herself. I'm sorry. Who is this? For heaven's sake, Stacy, it's your mother. I'm sorry I didn't call sooner, but damn it, I expected you at least be able to recognize the voice of the mother who loved and raised you for 17 plus years, Linda said, now very upset. Stacy smiled slightly, now more certain it was her mom calling, but as usual, she decided to be extra cautious. Caution had the advantage of giving her absent mom an emotional kick in the head without being overtly nasty. Oh, hey mom, you caught me off guard, and I was just being, cautious. I didn't want to get involved with some stalker. Stacy paused again and decided to object to her mom's loved and raised you for 17 plus years remark. She kept her cool, but didn't hold back the polite barb. Mom, I don't think the last 3 years can be categorized as parenting or love. I was almost 14 when you left us, and this is the first word from you in over 3 years. Now I'm 17, and it's been a long time since I've felt your motherly love. Linda sighed heavily, the weight of her choices evident in her voice. I'm sorry, Stacy. It's just that things were so complicated at the time. I felt like I had to leave. But enough about that. I really just called to see how you were doing, and maybe talk to your sister and brother if they're around. I plan to be much more available to you now that things have settled down. Stacy listened, her skepticism growing, but Linda continued. Hopefully we can get things going again, and you can take advantage of being the child of a well-off mother now that Frank and I are married. There's so much I can do for you and Alex and Jake. Our life is so much better than what it was when I was with your father. Don't get me wrong, your father is a good man, but he just can't provide the life benefits that Frank does. Stacy felt a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, and a sliver of hope. She wanted to believe her mother, but the wounds of the past were still fresh. Mom, it's not about the money. It's about the time you missed, the moments you weren't here for. But if you're really serious about being part of our lives again, then prove it. Show up, be here for us, and maybe we can start to rebuild what was lost. Linda's voice softened, filled with a hint of regret and determination. I understand, Stacy. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. I promise. The conversation ended with a fragile sense of resolution, a tentative step toward healing. As Stacy hung up the phone, she felt a mixture of relief and uncertainty. Only time would tell if her mother's promises would hold true. I'm very spoiled now, and I love it. Now, I want to show you children real life, the way it should be. In the meantime, I can make up for the years we've all lived, given your father's meager income, and yes, perhaps make up for my sudden departure. By this point, Stacy was beyond furious. She loved her father, Ed Mercer, deeply. She respected his unwavering sense of responsibility and the heartache he experienced when Linda left, forcing him to become a single parent and raise 2 teenage daughters and a wild 20-year-old son. Stacy was immensely proud of the way he turned their lives around after their mom left. Linda had cleaned out the bank accounts before she vanished, plunging them into financial hardship worse than Stacy had ever known. At the tender age of 14, Stacy took on the role of homemaker to help the family survive. Together they managed, but it was a struggle for more than 8 months. Things only improved when her father made drastic changes, and now life was great. It would have been easy for Stacy to simply lash out at the perpetrator of so much of the misery that had defined her 14th year. Her famous temper was ready, lurking in the background like a tiger on a tight leash, just waiting for a weakness and an opportunity to strike. Suddenly, Stacy felt a surge of absolute calm and realized what she had to do, and it was great. If she lashed out at her mother, Linda would undoubtedly hang up, and Stacy might never see or hear from her again. It wouldn't do anyone any good, and despite all her mother's nonsense, Stacy really wanted to maintain some sort of relationship with her. Stacy savored the calm that enveloped her as she decided how to proceed. She would make her point, rub her mother's nose in the slime of her mistakes, and in doing so, preserve the chance of a continued relationship for herself, her siblings, and her mother. Stacy smiled broadly, thinking, Stacy girl, you may have just learned a huge life lesson. Mom, you won't believe how hot I am. Hold on, I'm about to take a picture on my cell phone camera and send it to you. Don't hang up. Stacy stood in front of the full-length mirror in her bedroom, basking in the ample light streaming through the window. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, in the middle of June, so the sun was pouring in strongly through the west-facing window. She smiled radiantly, turning slightly sideways to show off her styled strawberry blonde hair, gathered elegantly on her head. She was wearing a full-length lavender evening gown, elegant and flattering her very feminine figure, showcasing her transformation into a full woman. She snapped the picture and sent it to her mother. There, did you get it? That's how real life has been treating me, Mom. Despite everything, I've managed to grow and flourish. I just wanted you to see that. Linda's voice softened on the other end of the line. You look beautiful, Stacy. Truly. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Mom. And just so you know, Dad did an amazing job raising us. We've been through a lot, but we came out stronger. I hope you can see that. There was a long pause before Linda spoke again. I do, Stacy. I see it, and I'm truly sorry for everything. Stacy took a deep breath, feeling the weight of years of hurt and anger start to lift just a little. We'll see, Mom. Actions speak louder than words. If you really want to be part of our lives, you have to show up and stay. I will, Stacy, I promise. The conversation ended with a tentative sense of reconciliation. As Stacy hung up the phone, she felt a mixture of relief and hope. Only time would tell if her mother's promises would hold true, but for now, she had taken a step towards healing. The dress was complemented by long white gloves that hugged her arms just above the elbows. She took 2 pictures, chose the best one, and quickly sent the picture to her mother's cell phone. Did it work? What do you think? Stacy asked, her voice tinged with a mix of pride and defiance. There was a long pause while Linda considered and digested the implications of 3 years in the life of a blossoming young woman. My goodness, Stacy, you're beautiful. I have no words, Linda said in a whisper, suppressing the lump in her throat that threatened to choke her. Stacy, I've missed so much. You've grown so much. Shit, what have I done? Stacy ignored her mother's musings and continued. You think it's something? Wait until you see Alex. Stacy slipped across the hall to her sister's room and pushed open the door where her 14-year-old sister was doing a last-minute elegant updo of her long, thick, honey brown hair. Alex's hair was also gathered on her head in several ringlets that framed her face. Her large gray-blue doe eyes and soft facial features made everyone stop and stare at her. Her face was strikingly beautiful. She was wearing an evening gown, delicately elegant, but hiding her charms much better than her older, more mature sister's dress. Hey, Ratch, strike a pose. Mom's on the phone and I'm going to send her a picture of you, Stacy said. Alex was assisted by a woman in her 30s, also dressed in an evening gown that was meant to impress. The woman had a regal beauty that constantly turned heads wherever she appeared. As the woman started to move away from the picture frame, Stacy intervened. No, Alina, stay where you are. I want you in the picture too. Alex was still a little stunned, but finally rolled her eyes and, covering her mouth with her hands, yelled into the phone. Hi, Mom. I can't talk right now, but let's get in touch sometime later. Stacy took a few pictures, chose the best one, and sent it on its way. After a pause, she put the phone to her ear and said, Mom, did you get it? Linda's voice was emotional, breaking slightly. Yes, I did. Alex looks stunning. You both do. I can't believe how much you've grown. It's overwhelming. Stacy felt a pang of pity for her mother, but she remained resolute. We've had to grow up fast, Mom, but we've managed. Dad's done an amazing job. We've all had to step up. I know, Stacy, and I'm truly sorry for not being there. I want to make it up to you, to all of you, Linda said, her voice filled with regret. Then show us, Mom. Actions speak louder than words. Be there for us. Be there for Alex and Jake. If you're serious about this, we'll see, Stacy replied, her voice firm but not unkind. I will, Stacy, I promise. I want to be part of your lives again, Linda vowed. Okay, Mom, we'll see, Stacy said, a note of hope in her voice. Talk to you soon. Talk to you soon, sweetie. I love you, Linda said softly before hanging up. Stacy put down the phone and sighed, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. She looked at Alex and Alina. both of whom had been silently observing the conversation. Well, that was interesting, Alex said, her eyes wide. Yeah, it was, Stacy replied. Let's just see what happens. For now, let's enjoy tonight. The girls smiled at each other, and Alina gave them a supportive nod. As they headed downstairs to join the others, Stacy felt a sense of calm and determination. No matter what happened with their mother, she knew she and her siblings would be okay. They had each other, and they had the strength to face whatever the future held. I bet you don't recognize Alex. Mom, Alex even has breasts. Alex blushed and screamed, Stacy, you jerk. Shut up. But a shy smile appeared on her face as the other two women in the room giggled at her embarrassment. Stacy turned her attention back to the phone. So what do you think, Mom? Linda was confused. I'm stunned, honey. Just stunned. You've both grown so much, and you're both so beautiful. I'm so proud of you. How I wish I could have been there with you. Linda pulled the phone away from her ear every now and then to look at the pictures of her children, whom she now missed more than anything else in the world. Her heart ached with regret and longing. Then, through tear-filled eyes, the details of the photos began to emerge. Why are you both dressed up like that? You can't both be going to the ball, can you? Stacy had effectively caught her mom's eye and was now ready to really start rubbing her nose. No, Mom, this is even cooler than that. Remember the annual party that you always went crazy about, but that you and Dad were never invited to? You know, Sedgwick McTaggart, welcome to the summer party. Linda immediately replied, Of course I remember. It was always the social event of the year. Heck, I'd give my teeth to get into that reception. Only the most powerful and beautiful people in the entire state were invited there. I so wanted to be able to dress up in formal dress and mingle with the social elite. I would have loved it so much, Linda sighed, and then quickly snapped out of her imaginary vision. My goodness, you and Alex got jobs as hostesses or waitresses for that party? Wow, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you two. To think my daughters will be there among beautiful people. I'm jealous, Linda muttered breathlessly. No, Mom, we're not waiters. We are the invited guests. What's more, we're going to sit at the head table because Daddy is the guest of honor. It's a surprise for him, but Daddy will be roasted too. Isn't that cool? I'll even be one of the roasters. I'm so nervous, but I'm also so excited, Stacy said, her voice trembling with a mix of emotions. Linda was stunned. What? You're kidding, right? You have to be kidding. Why would a lowly cost containment clerk be invited to Welcome to Summer, much less as the guest of honor? That just doesn't happen in real life. You're lying to me, aren't you? Stacy rolled her eyes, a hint of exasperation in her tone. Yes, of course, Mom. Alex and I get dressed up every day, just so you can call and we can pull your chain. Don't get me wrong, Mom. A lot has changed since you left us. We were in a lot of pain. No, we were all devastated. But Daddy brought us all together, even Jake, and somehow made a new life for us. Maybe I should fill you in on what's happened since you left us. It needs to be done quickly because the limo should be back with Fauna and Jake in about 15 minutes, and then we'll have to leave. Stacy took a deep breath to suppress her anger before she began the story of their life after Mom. Dad was pretty much destroyed when he found out you were doing it with some old fart in your and his bed. You kind of disappeared right after he found out about it and confronted you. So I guess you were already planning on leaving, but the date just got pushed back a bit. Linda interrupted Stacy to whisper, I'm sorry, Stacy. I didn't realize you were aware of what happened between me and your dad. But yes, after your dad found out, I felt I had to leave. What was the point of staying? Stacy paused, her voice softer now. The point of staying would have been us, Mom, but you didn't, and we had to move on. Dad pulled himself together for our sake. He got a promotion at work, which meant more money and stability. We all had to grow up fast. I took on a lot of the household responsibilities. Alex helped with whatever she could, and even Jake stepped up in his own way. We learned to support each other. Linda's voice was filled with regret. I didn't know. I didn't think. I'm sorry, Stacy. I thought you were better off without me. We weren't, Mom, Stacy replied, a mix of sadness and determination in her voice. But we made the best of it. And now, here we are. Dad's hard work paid off, and he's being recognized for it. That's why we're going to this party tonight. It's not just a social event, it's a celebration of how far we've come. Linda was silent for a moment, absorbing everything her daughter had said. I wish I could turn back time, Stacy. I wish I could have been there for you all. Stacy sighed. Wishing doesn't change the past, Mom, but maybe you can be part of our future if you really mean it. I do, Stacy. I mean it. I want to make things right, Linda said, her voice filled with determination. Then show us, Mom. Be there for us from now on, Stacy replied, her heart hopeful yet cautious. I will, Stacy, I promise, Linda vowed. Okay, Mom, we'll see. Talk to you soon, Stacy said, a note of hope in her voice. Talk to you soon, sweetie. I love you, Linda said softly before hanging up. Stacy put down the phone and sighed, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. She looked at Alex and Alina, both of whom had been silently observing the conversation. Well, that was interesting, Alex said, her eyes wide. Yeah, it was, Stacy replied. Let's just see what happens. For now, let's enjoy tonight. The girls smiled at each other, and Alina gave them a supportive nod. As they headed downstairs to join the others, Stacy felt a sense of calm and determination. No matter what happened with their mother, she knew she and her siblings would be okay. They had each other, and they had the strength to face whatever the future held. My God, he even had pictures of us. Frank and I decided to leave town and go to his apartment in Manhattan, where we've lived ever since. I'm sorry your dad decided to tell you about what happened. I think it was very low to involve you kids. Horse shit, Mom. It's just pure horse shit, Stacy snapped, trying to get her growing temper under control. She took a deep breath and continued. Daddy didn't tell us. I'm the one who told him. Who do you think took the pictures? Linda gasped. Shit, Stacy went on, her voice steady but full of emotion. Alex and I got home, and everything was quiet except for the strange noises coming from your bedroom. I told Alex to wait downstairs, and I quietly went upstairs to check. When I saw what you were doing, I grabbed your cell phone and took some pictures and sent them to Dad. Alex and I then left and went to a friend's house. By the time Alex and I got home, you had locked yourself in your bedroom and wouldn't come out, but we could hear you crying. The next morning, you were gone. The last thing I remember of my loving mother is her lying on her back under some old man in my father's bedroom. Tell me I didn't need therapy to get those images out of my head. I'm glad you at least covered your bodies, or I'd probably still be in therapy right now. I can't believe it was you who betrayed me, Stacy. How could you do that? Linda's voice trembled with disbelief and hurt. I don't think this is the right time or place to exchange jabs about betrayal, Mom. That would be a very uneven duel, don't you think? I'll take my fire hose against your gun any day, and we won't even talk about Alex and Jake's stuff. So, do you want to repeat the history of the last 3 years, or not? Stacy marveled at her own composure and how she handled the situation. The thought flashed through her mind that she had really grown and matured over the past few years. At that moment, Linda realized that in order to have any kind of relationship with her children, she would have to go through the hell of responsibility for her actions and their outcomes. This was not going to be an easy task. A few gifts and trips would not automatically make things right. Her children had to come to terms and adjust to life without her. She wanted to know how they coped, but to do that, she needed to understand what they thought of her decisions and choices. Did they all really hate her? There was no time to run now. If she backed down now, she would likely lose them, possibly forever. But if she wanted to rebuild the relationship, she would have to accept their feelings and feel their fire. Was she ready for that? Was it all worth the pain she knew would come later? Linda pulled herself together. Her voice was soft and remorseful. Yes, Stacy, you're absolutely right. I suppose we will have to discuss these issues someday, but right now we need to get back to reasonable communication. I've been calling to reestablish contact with the children, and that would be a good first step. So let me find out how your life has turned out since I left. Mom, you just wouldn't believe it, Stacy replied, a hint of pride creeping into her voice. We've been through a lot, but we've come out stronger. Dad pulled himself together and got a promotion at work. He made sure we had everything we needed. I took on a lot of the household responsibilities. Alex helped with whatever she could, and even Jake stepped up in his own way. We learned to support each other. Linda listened, feeling a mix of regret and admiration. I wish I could have been there for you all. I'm sorry I missed out on so much. Stacy sighed. Wishing doesn't change the past, Mom, but maybe you can be part of our future if you really mean it. I do, Stacy. I mean it. I want to make things right, Linda said, her voice filled with determination. Then show us, Mom. Be there for us from now on, Stacy replied, her heart hopeful yet cautious. I will, Stacy, I promise, Linda vowed. Okay, Mom, we'll see. Talk to you soon, Stacy said, a note of hope in her voice. Talk to you soon, sweetie. I love you, Linda said softly before hanging up. Stacy put down the phone and sighed, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. She looked at Alex and Alina, both of whom had been silently observing the conversation. Well, that was interesting, Alex said, her eyes wide. Yeah, it was, Stacy replied. Let's just see what happens. For now, let's enjoy tonight. The girls smiled at each other, and Alina gave them a supportive nod. As they headed downstairs to join the others, Stacy felt a sense of calm and determination. No matter what happened with their mother, she knew she and her siblings would be okay. They had each other, and they had the strength to face whatever the future held. It's like something out of a story, even a fairy tale. Anyway, Dad got really discouraged for a few months, and it was really bad. A lot of times Alex and I would come home from school, and I'd make her stay outside while I'd go into the house myself to check and see if Dad was dead or something. Every time the phone rang, I would jump, thinking it was the police or the hospital. I told Jake that he had to step up and quit drinking and partying because I couldn't be the only one trying to hold everything together. He tried, I think, but it didn't help him much. Eventually, Dad started reading books on how to get over breakups and grief and all that. Many nights, he'd just lock himself in his bedroom and we'd hear the clicking of keys on the computer. He was writing, and I think that helped him a lot. Remember when he got overweight? One day, he started getting up early to run and even got a treadmill and exercise machine and started using them. I thought he was trying to get himself to start living again. Stacy paused and thought for a moment, then continued. I know you probably don't want to know all this stuff about Dad, but it's really important in the overall scheme of things, so I apologize if it's not what you wanted to hear about. By the way, he looks really hot right now. No, it's okay, honey. I really need to know about this. Thank you for caring about me, and I understand. I want to know how you, Alex, and Jake are doing mostly. Well, with Alex, it's simple. She just kind of got sucked into a shell and stayed there for quite a while. Now she's pretty much come around, and you wouldn't believe how well she's doing. A lot of that has to do with Alina. She and Alex have really hit it off. Linda looked at the picture on her phone again and paid particular attention to the woman helping Alex pack. So, who's Alina? I'm sorry, Mom. Alina is Daddy's girlfriend. Isn't she gorgeous? And she's so sweet. She's a former swimsuit model and is still modeling. Linda was taken aback. I had no idea. That's amazing. I'm so proud of her. And Alina sounds wonderful. She is, Stacy said, her voice full of warmth. She's been a huge part of our lives. She treats us like her own children. And you should see how happy she makes Dad. He deserves it after everything he's been through. Linda felt a pang of jealousy mixed with relief. I'm glad he found someone like that. You all deserve happiness. Stacy nodded, even though her mother couldn't see it. We do, and we're finally getting there. But we also need to figure out what role you want to play in our lives moving forward. It's not just about the past, it's about what happens next. Linda took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her daughter's words. You're right, Stacy. I want to be part of your lives again. I know I have a lot to make up for, and I want to start now. Then show us, Mom. Be there for us. Actions speak louder than words, Stacy replied, her voice both hopeful and firm. I will, Stacy, I promise, Linda vowed, her voice filled with resolve. Okay, Mom, we'll see. Talk to you soon, Stacy said, a note of hope in her voice. Talk to you soon, sweetie. I love you, Linda said softly before hanging up. Stacy put down the phone and sighed, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. She looked at Alex and Alina, both of whom had been silently observing the conversation. Well, that was interesting, Alex said, her eyes wide. Yeah, it was, Stacy replied. Let's just see what happens. For now, let's enjoy tonight. The girls smiled at each other, and Alina gave them a supportive nod. As they headed downstairs to join the others, Stacy felt a sense of calm and determination. No matter what happened with their mother, she knew she and her siblings would be okay. They had each other, and they had the strength to face whatever the future held. Alex is on the cover, and she looks absolutely amazing. She's really becoming an in-demand model. What? How? When did all this happen? Your dad slept with a girl half his age, and now she's selling your sister to photographers. If I find out she's taking cheesecake pictures, I'll press charges against Dad and Janet, or whatever her name is. Linda was close to choking up. Stacy waited to calm the situation down a bit, realizing where she had probably inherited her temper from, and then spoke very quietly. Mom, Dad, and Alina really care and scrutinize any modeling work Alex and I do. At least one of them is present at every shoot. They insist that the photographer sign an ironclad contract with Dad, and no picture is taken without his approval and permission. Do you really think Daddy would allow any of us to do anything even close to resembling cheesecake? He won't even let her take a picture in a bathing suit. As for Daddy's girlfriend, her name is Alina, and she's 34 years old. So there's an 11-year difference between her and Daddy. That's a lot less than you and Frankie. Who's what? 100? I don't know if they'll ever get married, but they're cute together, and she helps him a lot. She even says nice things about him from time to time, so he seems pretty happy. Happier than I've ever seen him, actually. Frank is only 66 years to my 43, Stacy, Linda hastily interjected. I'm just not sure modeling is a good choice for Alex. I certainly wouldn't allow it. She needs to get into something more worthy. Stacy bit her tongue to keep from saying something like, decent. How do you abandon your family to become jewelry for a 66-year-old rich man's hand? So she continued on, ignoring the interrupted conversation. The modeling career has done a lot of good for Alex, Mom. She's not so shy anymore. She now holds herself with a confidence and poise she never had before. She finally knows who she is, what she can accomplish, and what she's good at. She even directs or suggests themed poses for some of her shoots. Let's face it, Mom. Alex was never good academically and always considered herself a failure. But now, she's found something she's truly passionate about, something that makes her feel successful and proud. Modeling has given her a sense of purpose and a reason to believe in herself. It's not just about the pictures or the fame, it's about the personal growth she's experienced. Linda sighed deeply, the sound tinged with a mix of regret and resignation. I suppose I can't judge without knowing all the details. It's just hard to accept from so far away. I get that, Mom, but trust me, Alex is in good hands. Dad and Alina are doing a great job making sure she's safe and happy. They would never let anything bad happen to her, Stacy reassured her. Okay, Stacy, I trust you, and I want to trust your father and Alina too. I want to be part of your lives again, to support you all in any way I can, Linda said, her voice softening. We'd like that, Mom, but like I said, actions speak louder than words. Just keep trying, and we'll see how it goes, Stacy replied, a note of hope in her voice. Talk to you soon, sweetie. I love you, Linda said softly before hanging up. Stacy put down the phone and sighed, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. She looked at Alex and Alina, both of whom had been silently observing the conversation. Well, that was interesting, Alex said, her eyes wide. Yeah, it was, Stacy replied. Let's just see what happens. For now, let's enjoy tonight. The girls smiled at each other, and Alina gave them a supportive nod. As they headed downstairs to join the others, Stacy felt a sense of calm and determination. No matter what happened with their mother, because she thought she had a bleak future. Now, however, she can become a world-class model before she even graduates high school and have the kind of bank account that even you would be proud of. Before you ask, yes, I did say that I model too, but I'm not as passionate about it. Rach and I do fashion shoots together, where I act as an extra to accentuate her or wear different patterns or colors of the outfit we are showcasing. The best part is that Rach and I have become very close because we help each other and work together. I also get paid pretty well, so I save a lot of money for college. School is still my main focus, and I'm doing well. I take a few extra classes every semester so I can graduate early and get into college. I still maintain an A average, but this year I'm a little worried about chemistry. It's a difficult subject, but I need it if I want to get into veterinary school. Mom, You're not going to believe this. Rach and I get to keep the outfits we model, so I have a whole closet full of designer clothes now. Can you believe it? I'm actually one of the best dressed in my class, not Miss Geekazoid anymore. Many of the too cool for you girls in my class ask me for fashion advice, and some have even asked for my autograph. Isn't that kind of perverted? I'm almost popular now. The best part is that guys are starting to pay attention to me, Stacy giggled. All of this was very disturbing to Linda, who had always struggled to reach some undefined level in society. She had left her family to gain acceptance, and it seemed that most of her family members had reached great heights without her. And to make matters worse, they had achieved it seemingly effortlessly. Linda sighed heavily. I'm glad you and your sister have been so successful, sweetheart. And although I'm afraid to ask, how is Jake doing? Is my boy okay? Stacy took a deep breath and checked the clock on the night table to determine how much time she had, knowing that the limo with Jake and Fauna would be arriving soon. She didn't want to move on to the next topic and not have time to finish. She noted that she probably had plenty of time. Well, Mom, I'm surprised to have to admit that Jake has turned his life around. As you know, he was pretty wild before you left and continued to drink and hang out with his friends after you left. He even got worse for a while. Eventually, Dad got at his throat and demanded that he quit partying and at least get a job or go back to school. Jake would tell him where to go, so Dad eventually kicked him out and told him not to come back until he found a job. Dad even had to call the police a couple of times to get him out of the house. Linda gasped, feeling the weight of her absence. Oh my God, I had no idea things had gotten that bad. Yeah, it was pretty rough, Stacy continued. But then something changed. Jake realized he couldn't keep living like that. He found a job at a local construction company and started working really hard. He even started taking night classes to finish his degree. Now, he's not only got a stable job, but he's also been promoted to a supervisory position. He's become responsible, dependable, and even managed to save enough money to get his own place. He's doing great, Mom, and he's finally happy. Linda felt a mix of emotions, relief, pride, and a deep sorrow for missing so much of their lives. I'm so proud of all of you. It sounds like you've all grown so much and accomplished incredible things. I wish I had been there to see it. Well, you're here now, Mom, Stacy said, her voice softening. And if you really want to be part of our lives again, we can make that happen. But it won't be easy. We'll need time to rebuild trust and to heal from the past, but I think it's worth trying. Linda nodded, even though Stacy couldn't see her. I agree, Stacy. I want to try. I want to be there for all of you. Thank you for giving me the chance. Okay, Mom, let's take it one step at a time, Stacy replied, feeling a glimmer of hope. Now we'd better get ready. The limo will be here soon, and we don't want to keep everyone waiting. Talk to you soon, sweetie. I love you, Linda said softly before hanging up. Stacy put down the phone and sighed, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. She looked at Alex and Alina, both of whom had been silently observing the conversation. Well, that was interesting, Alex said, her eyes wide. Yeah, it was, Stacy replied. Let's just see what happens. For now, let's enjoy tonight. The girls smiled at each other, and Alina gave them a supportive nod. As they headed downstairs to join the others, Stacy felt a sense of calm and determination. No matter what happened with their mother, she knew she and her siblings would be okay. They had each other, and they had the strength to face whatever the future held. What? Your asshole father kicked my son out of the house. How dare he do that? I'll have Frank contact a lawyer and sue the creep, Linda muttered. Good luck with that, Mom, Stacy said with a shake of her head. She knew that her mother had always considered Jake her favorite and allowed him everything. She also knew that Linda supported his antics, slipping him money when he asked for it. He was actually very lucky that he had never been arrested or gotten into serious trouble. That was a year and a half ago, Mom, and since then, Jake and Dad have pretty much reconciled. For a while, Jake made money off his friends, but even they got tired of supporting his lazy ass and they left him. He lived on the streets for a while and finally decided he didn't like life there, especially when he saw that the three of us were doing well. He came to Daddy, apologized, and wanted to come home. Dad continued his get-a-job-first attitude, and Jake got a job working on the roof. He eventually moved home, but Dad made him pay his own rent to show him what being an adult was all about. It was funny to listen to him moan about working hard, having to pay for food, rent, and a car, and then not having any money. His father always told him that this is the real world, and you have to get used to it. It went on like that for about a year, until Fauna came along. "Don't tell me your father has another girlfriend. Who's Fauna?" Linda asked, incredulous. Stacy laughed. "No, Mom. Fauna is Dad's personal assistant. She's very smart and doesn't put up with anyone's crap. Dad always calls her his boss. She's only 22 years old, but she already knows her stuff. She met Daddy at a conference he was working at in Minneapolis. She walked up to him, shook his hand, and told him that if he wanted to be a real success, he needed to hire her to handle his travel arrangements, book his tickets, and manage his expenses. She then handed him her resume and told him to call her when he was ready to get serious about his career. Dad hired her right away. She lives with us, and Dad jokes that he has his own harem. She was really instrumental in helping Dad get his career started. She's like my own big sister, and we all love her." Linda was silent for a moment, processing all the information. "It sounds like your father has found some amazing people to surround himself with," she finally said, her voice softening. "I'm glad he's doing well. I wish I had known all of this sooner." "Well, you're here now, Mom," Stacy said gently, "and if you really want to be part of our lives again, we can make that happen, but it won't be easy. We'll need time to rebuild trust and to heal from the past, but I think it's worth trying." "I agree, Stacy. I want to try. I want to be there for all of you. Thank you for giving me the chance," Linda replied, her voice filled with resolve. "Okay, Mom, let's take it one step at a time," Stacy replied, feeling a glimmer of hope. "Now we'd better get ready. The limo will be here soon, and we don't want to keep everyone waiting." "Talk to you soon, sweetie. I love you," Linda said softly before hanging up. Stacy put down the phone and sighed, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. She looked at Alex and Alina, both of whom had been silently observing the conversation. "Well, that was interesting," Alex said, her eyes wide. "Yeah, it was," Stacy replied. "Let's just see what happens. For now, let's enjoy tonight." The girls smiled at each other, and Alina gave them a supportive nod. As they headed downstairs to join the others, Stacy felt a sense of calm and determination. No matter what happened with their mother, she knew she and her siblings would be okay. They had each other, and they had the strength to face whatever the future held. She's a true Norwegian beauty, the kind that could stop traffic. Standing around 5'7", with short blonde hair that glistens like spun gold and piercing blue eyes that seem to hold 1,000 stories, Jake took one look at her and was completely smitten, like he'd been struck by Cupid's arrow. She laid down the law early, telling Jake she wouldn't date anyone who wasn't going places, and just like that, Jake found his calling. "Mom, Jake joined the Air Force 4 months ago," Stacy announced with a mixture of pride and excitement, "and soon he's heading to Monterey, California for language school to learn Russian." Linda's jaw dropped. "What? Air Force? Language school? Russian?" she stammered, her shock evident. "Holy shit!" Stacy couldn't help but laugh at her mother's reaction. "Wild, huh?" she continued. "He's at Lackland Air Force Base right now, just waiting for his security clearance to go through. And get this, Daddy asked him to take a leave to come home for a party. Fauna's starting to warm up to him, but she still won't admit they're dating. But we can all tell she's head over heels. They're constantly on the phone when they can be. It's adorable." Jake is in disbelief himself. He's got it all planned out. Finish language school, head to college, get his degree, and become an officer. "Can you believe it?" Stacy marveled. "My crazy brother, an officer. It's surreal." "Love does make you do crazy things, doesn't it?" Stacy added with a smile, reflecting on her brother's ambitious plans. Suddenly, a deep voice began crooning "The Impossible Dream" in the background. Stacy burst into laughter and hurried into the hallway outside her bedroom. "Mom, you've got to hear this!" She held out the phone toward the voice, just as a chorus of wolf howls and feminine giggles erupted. "Daddy," Alex shouted, laughter bubbling in her voice, "sing my favorite song, Far, Far Away. Actually, just sing Far, Far Away." Alina chimed in, "Don't quit your day job." Stacy grinned, "Daddy, why don't you hit the road? I think the bus leaves in 10 minutes. Amidst the girls' uproarious laughter, Ed's voice could be heard, mock defeated. You girls are killing me. I get no respect. My own family, that's it. Sure, here's the rewritten paragraph with a more engaging and thrilling style. You're all off my Christmas list, Ed declared in mock seriousness. The room erupted in laughter, quickly followed by a harmonious chorus of female voices singing, "We love you, Daddy." A moment later, Ed's booming voice reassured them. All right, you're all back on the Christmas list. Stacy, still giggling, chimed in. He's so funny. He always sings when he's happy or nervous, and we always tease him about it. It's our little game. All Linda could muster was a soft "oh." It was clear to her that her family was moving on without her. Deep down, she hoped they still felt the sting of her absence, but the lively atmosphere said otherwise. She fell silent, lost in her thoughts. Stacy picked up the conversation seamlessly. Dad doesn't know he's the guest of honor tonight. He's a bit nervous because he and Jack McTaggart are going to play a couple of guitar duets with the band. You know how Dad loves his bluesy guitar stuff. After he and Jack became buddies, they discovered their mutual love for guitar playing. Now they get together almost every week to practice and have a few beers. They joke about becoming rock stars. They're actually pretty good, but it's all in good fun. Tonight is their first public performance, and it should be a blast. Can you imagine Daddy in a tuxedo playing guitar on stage? Stacy giggled at the thought. Linda's amazement was palpable. Your dad and John McTaggart are friends? The same John McTaggart? How did that happen? Stacy smiled, knowing her mother held the McTaggarts in high regard due to their wealth and influence. She also knew her mother had always wanted to meet them. Yes, Mom. John, or Jack, as his close friends call him, McTaggart. It all started when Dad wrote a couple of articles about surviving and rebuilding your life after a traumatic event, like losing everything when your cheating wife leaves you for her boyfriend. Dad was thrilled when several small magazines picked up the articles for publication. Jack read them, contacted Dad, and invited him to be a motivational speaker at one of his staff meetings. We thought Dad was going to have a heart attack. He meticulously prepared a lecture based on his articles and delivered it at the meeting. The speech was a resounding success, and Jack was so impressed that he invited Dad to speak at the annual stockholders meeting. From there, Dad began receiving offers from other companies to speak at their board meetings. And just like that, his life took a dramatic turn. Dad threw himself into writing more articles, which started getting picked up by prominent magazines. Before long, he quit his job to devote all his time to writing and public speaking. Jack continued to introduce Dad to influential people, and they soon discovered a mutual passion for playing blues and rock guitar. They've been inseparable buddies ever since. Stacy paused, giving her mother time to process the incredible turn of events. It was, after all, quite a transformation. Is your father a writer now? An author? A published writer? Your father, my ex-husband, a writer? Linda struggled to grasp the concept of her former loser becoming successful. She secretly hoped his new career didn't pay too well. From the main floor of the house, the sounds of activity filtered up. People arriving, noisy conversations, and light laughter. A strong male voice mingled with a softer female voice. Stacy noticed Alina leaving Alex's room and heading toward the stairs. It was clear she was going downstairs to play hostess for the new arrivals. Stacy suddenly remembered something she needed to do that evening. Mom, I'll have to leave soon. Jack and Mona McTaggart are here with photographers to take pictures for the society page of the newspaper and the picture book they publish every year about the magical time people had at the Summerfest. It makes me want to vomit, she added with a wry smile. But the book raises a lot of money for charity and makes us participants feel warm and good. She said this with a dose of sarcasm, finding the whole affair a bit excessive and self-indulgent. Yet, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in her father's accomplishments, which had suddenly elevated their family to a respected status, especially in the eyes of her wayward mother. Linda rushed to defend the practice. Stacy, don't take this so lightly. It's an honor and a privilege to be in this book and to know that you participated in a historic event. You should be absolutely thrilled to be in attendance. Since you'll be sitting at the head table, Your photos will be on almost every page of the book. I've secretly bought one of these books nearly every year, Linda admitted, a touch of nostalgia in her voice. And this year, I will be able to proudly point to the pictures of Jake, you, and Alex and say, look at these special people. These are my kids. I'm actually quite jealous, but incredibly proud at the same time. I'll definitely be ordering a few copies as soon as they come out. Okay, Mom, Stacy replied, a smile tugging at her lips. Dad's going to New York for Labor Day weekend, and Alex, Alina, Fauna, and I are planning to go with him. Maybe we can get together then. I'd love to see you, and I'm sure I can talk Alex into coming too, but you should know she's still mad at you for leaving. Maybe we can bring Alina along so you can meet her. And, do you want to see Daddy? Honey, that's a terrific idea. Yes, let's do something about it. I definitely want to see you and Alex, but your dad and his SL girlfriend, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Too much pain on both sides, I'm afraid. But I'd like you to meet Frank. After all, he's your stepfather now. Stacy made a face, sticking her finger in her wide-open mouth with her tongue out, mimicking gagging. No, Mom. I still have nightmares about you and Frank doing nasty things, so I can only meet Frank and you if Daddy and Alina are there. I think that's fair. We'll see what happens, Stacy, Linda said, trying to keep the peace. But let's not upset the overall goal, which is for us to see each other. I'm already looking forward to seeing you and Alex again, so let's focus on that. Coincidentally, Frank is using his influence to get us tickets to the Meet the Author Day that the New York Literary Guild is hosting this weekend. I'm going to insist that he gets tickets for all of us. It should be a very prestigious event. Several writers will be signing books, meeting, and greeting. Frank is very excited. David Vulchus has promised to be there, and Frank is thrilled to meet him. David is an aspiring writer, and Frank says his first book is fantastic. I know the coasts tend to find out about the latest trends and events sooner than the Midwest. But have you heard of David by any chance? Stacy caught the somewhat condescending tone in her mother's words and rolled her eyes slightly. Mom, don't worry. I've heard of David Vulchus. His book's pretty popular here too. I'm looking forward to the event. Stacy couldn't help but laugh, deciding to return the favor with a mischievous grin. Yes, Mom, I have heard of David Vulchus. In fact, I've met him on more than one occasion. Yes, I agree that his work is marvelous. I read his book some time ago and found it rather, how shall I put it, provocative. Have you read his book, Mom? Linda was momentarily taken aback by Stacy's statement, but chose not to react visibly. No, I can't say that I have. I'm not much of a fan of that kind of reading, but Frank is definitely a fan. Stacy was already laughing and nearly made a quip about the book not having enough pictures for her mom's literary tastes, but decided to hold back. Mom, do you have a hardcover or softcover of David's book available? Linda glanced around before stepping into Frank's office. Yes, I have a hardcover copy of it right here on Frank's desk. Why do you ask? Mom, look at the back inside cover and tell me what you see. Linda opened the book and gasped. There's a picture of the author here. My God, it's Ed. My God, it's a picture I took of your father 7 or 8 years ago. My God, how can this be? That can't be David Vulchus. Your father is not David Vulchus. Please tell me this is some kind of mistake. Stacy was still laughing, trying not to choke as the full irony of the situation sank in. You can't help it, Mom. Yes, yes, and yes. David Vulchus is actually Edward J. Mercer. When Dad decided to write a novel, he wanted to separate his writing goals for a number of reasons. So he came up with a pen name and released his first novel under the name David Vulchus. That's just really funny, Stacy continued, barely containing her mirth. Your husband's favorite author is your ex-husband. This is just hilarious. It's too good. They should make a movie. I can't believe it. No one could come up with this kind of stuff. Man, it's too funny. Linda sat sullenly and finally said quietly, Shit. Stacy, still laughing, said, I have to go, Mom. I'll send you my email address and you send me yours and we'll keep in touch. We'll make plans for Labor Day weekend. I'm so glad you called and I really want to see you again. I love you, Mom. It's still too funny. Linda suggested softly, Tell your brother and sister hello and give them my number so they can call me when they get a chance. I love you too, Stacy. Stacy walked downstairs, still chuckling at the absurdity of the recent turn of events, and got ready to take pictures for the socialites. She knew she wouldn't have any trouble smiling, but only she would know the real reason why. Linda sat in deep thought for a long time, finally concluding that karma was indeed a vindictive force. She was still on the phone with Stacy when Frank burst into the room, almost colliding with the furniture. "Linda, you're not going to believe this. I just got a postcard from David Valches. I wrote to him, telling him how much I enjoyed his book and how excited I am to meet him in September, and he wrote me back in his own handwriting." Frank read the postcard aloud, his voice filled with excitement. "Dear Frank, you have no idea how glad I am that you read and enjoyed my first novel. Although you may not know it, you have had a very positive impact on my life and career. I don't know if I will ever be able to thank you fully, so I look forward to thanking you in person. You have taken a huge weight off my shoulders and provided a much-needed spark in my growth as a person and a writer. I am deeply indebted to you. Best wishes, David Valches." Frank continued to babble on about his rapturous joy, telling Linda that he must have met David once before. His picture seemed familiar, but I couldn't remember where I had seen him. Now I can't wait to meet him and hopefully become good friends with my new favorite author. Linda's mood grew darker with each word. Frank's voice became a distant hum as she sank deeper into her thoughts. Finally, in a hoarse, dry voice, she said quietly, "Shut up, Frank. Just shut up.